Hey, what's going on, guys? Shane here.
Vince Anomaly.
And today we're just going to look at 5 different ways to land the uppercut. Before we do that, have you subscribed first? Click that subscribe button and then we'll begin. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. Alright, first way of landing the uppercut, we're going to start at longer range, so we're going to work off of a jab. Alright, so right off the bat, I got the jab, boom, nice and long. I'm going to try to stay at this range, maybe get a little bit closer, but it's just going to be a long uppercut. So you can think of it like an upside down jab. I'm going to pull it back, maybe halfway, and then I'm going to shoot it here. Alright, so you can call this an upside down jab, you can call it a long uppercut, whatever. What we're doing is we're getting in between the guard, we're trying to lift Vince's head up, and then once from there, I'm going to follow up with the right hand. Bang. Okay? We actually just covered this in a recent video with Dre and Francisco, so we'll have the link in the description below so you can watch a video on that. But again, let's go over the combo. I go jab, long uppercut, bang, I'm stepping in for the cross. Okay? Very simple one, but very effective. It's a good way to just keep that lead arm probing, keeping them blinking, lift their head up, and then follow up with the power, right hand. Next up, we're going to work the rear uppercut at a long distance. Now, this is one that I never personally would have used until I saw Suni Imhotep use this, and he was taught by Alexander Palma on how to correctly cover the distance and use the angles to land this long right uppercut. So what he did was he just set it up with a jab, and on the jab, he used that step to get in a little bit closer, and then he fired off this rear uppercut from here, from nice and long, but he brought his rear foot with him so that when the foot landed, the punch landed, okay? Sometimes you'll notice people throw the uppercut like this, and I actually like it like this. You don't want to hit with the thumb, you still want to hit with the knuckles of the index finger, but it's still a nice way to come right in between the guard because this angle is a little bit thinner than this angle. So if Vince does have a tight guard, I can even sneak through it by, bang, keeping my arm in this motion here. If you want to turn it, you can do that as well, but give both a try. It's a great way to set up this long rear uppercut. So again, I step on the jab, I step on the right uppercut, and I can come right in between the guard with that punch. Now it's going to be a little bit closer range, and this is going to be working as a counter to Vince's straight punches. So first we're going to show the jab. He throws that jab. I'm going to slip, and as I do it, I like kind of having a guaranteed that I'm going to land by stepping in as I slip. So Vince, one more time, just throw that jab, and as he does, I step with my left foot. Okay, so I get a little bit closer. The reason being is because if I want this tight uppercut, it's short. Look how much longer a jab is, right? It's double the range. Well, then I have to make up with that with my footwork. So what I'm doing is I'm slipping and I'm stepping, and just like on our previous one, I'm gonna step as I throw the right uppercut. Bang, come right underneath here. Okay. So he throws his jab, and I step and slip. Now I bring this rear foot with me as I turn the hip over and fire off the rear uppercut right underneath. Okay, one more time in full. Bang. Okay, you can do the same thing with the right hand, just going in the opposite direction, throwing the opposite uppercut. So Vince throws the right hand, I slip and I step, and now I'm going to bring the rear foot with me, bang, as I come underneath with the left uppercut. One more time in full, slip, bang. Okay. One thing to keep in mind when you're slipping and countering is a lot of people tend to admire their work. They tend to admire the fact that they slipped the punch and they hang out there. So if Vince throws the jab, they tend to go, whoa, I slipped it. And then they get caught with the right hand or something, but they hang out here too long. Don't get stuck. As soon as you get there, you should be bouncing back into your counter. So when he throws that jab, it's bang, I'm coming right back into it. When he throws the cross, it's bang, and I'm bouncing right into the counter uppercut. Next up, we're going to work sort of a bolo punch, bolo-esque, and the bolo punch is this motion here, where you see that real big looping motion. This was actually coined from Seferino Garcia. I can't believe I remembered his name. Old school boxer that would like chop down sugarcane. He worked in the sugarcane fields, chopping with a machete. So his muscle, his body was used to doing this motion, and he turned that into a punch. So what we're going to do is it's best to fake a motion beforehand and then throw that. So what we're going to do is go with a left hook, hit him with the left hook, and then I'm going to fake this left hook motion so I get him to start to open up that guard a little bit. Now I'm going to scoop it underneath, and I'm going to land that bolo punch. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I throw a right hook or an overhand right. Now I fake it, and I come underneath with this bolo punch motion. Okay, so if we can get him to shell up with whatever punches we're throwing, if we can get him to bend over a little bit, even better. But this is a nice way of just kind of deceiving them a little bit with the initial punch, getting them to react, and then we got this off-tempo, looping, weird shot, you don't know where it's coming from, come right underneath of the guard. So again, I hit him with the left hook, boom, he blocks it, whatever, and then bang, I come underneath. Roy Jones Jr. always used a motion like this. It's a nice way of closing off the distance too, to where I can sort of fade out to my left as I throw this left uppercut, and again, if I throw the right, I can bang, get underneath with that bolo uppercut. Okay, this last one now is going to be more so throwing those uppercuts that look like the picturesque boxer uppercut, right? Real tight to the body, got that nice 90-degree bend in the arm, and we're throwing from here. If I'm throwing a punch at a very short range, that means I have to be in close, right? So the best way of doing that is inside fighting, whether it's against the ropes or if we're in the center of the ring. Usually it's going to be in the later rounds when we're leaning against each other, when we're clenching. So the first one is going to be, let's say we really are just leaning on each other's shoulders and elbows here. This is one that you see often in sparring, and usually it's right hands that are coming over the top and we're defending this way. But one thing that I like to do is just do a little shoulder bump. So I'm just going to turn my hips and just chicken wing my arm just enough to create a little bit of an opening, right? I don't want to do too much where it pushes them back. I just want enough to fit this glove, because that's what I'm going to do is rip the uppercut right here. Okay, so again, it's a quick motion. As soon as I turn the hips over, I'm turning them back to land this uppercut. And I should probably bring my left hand up when I do it, just so I can be back in the fight. Now, it's not always going to be that clean. We're not always going to have both hands free. Oftentimes we get to a position where one hand's tied and the other one's open. The ref probably isn't going to break this up if we're still throwing punches. So until someone ties up both arms, you got to use what you have. And a nice way to get there is I can create a little bit of pressure, almost like a wrestling wizard with my left hand here. You see I have the overhook over top of Vince's arm. I can open him up, start to bend him this way, and then I got the right uppercuts from here. And you're not supposed to muscle in boxing, so you can get in trouble for this. But if you have this opening, what I'm telling you is just be active here. So I have the right uppercuts, and I'm also controlling, I'm trying to get my arms on the inside here. If my arm's on the outside, then Vince has got the uppercuts, right? He can throw his from here, all right? So I could be fighting and grabbing here, but even better, I like getting inside control where I'm grabbing the bicep and my elbow is a line of defense too. He's trying to snake or swim his arm underneath, and I'm using my elbow to defend. Once I have an opening, or I create an opening, then I'm firing off those uppercuts from the inside. All right, guys, there you have it. 5 different ways of landing the uppercut. Now, I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning, but when you throw your uppercut, try not to scrape your knuckles on the ground, like they say. The more that you try to build momentum and come down here, the more your guard is exposed. You're going to get caught with Vince's left hook if you come down here and you show it, right? So instead, try to keep it glued to your cheek. Try to keep it here and release it at the last moment of when you're actually throwing the shot, right? So when I throw this uppercut, it's here. I'm keeping it very tight to my face. I'm keeping my guard very protected, and I'm getting the punch where it needs to go as quickly as possible. All right, until next time, if you haven't already, please subscribe so you can get the fight tips before your opponent does. Till then, I'm Shane.
There's an Alan.
Fight tips for the underdogs.